Hey everyone, how are you? I'm not sure I'm gonna show my face yet on camera, but being a little vain, I wanted to share something that happened this weekend that was kind of shocking. On Saturday, I was proud of myself I'm showing you a beautiful view of my backyard, and it's a beautiful fall sky, and hopefully the view gives you some peace as I share this little traumatic experience I had. So on Saturday, I was proud of myself for finally walking close to 2 miles on my post-abdominal surgery and feeling good. And I had kind of a big breakfast, so we had a very light lunch, just like a little snack, and said we would, as a family, go down into town and have dinner at a restaurant, an early dinner. And, went with my husband and brother and son, and we went very early, and it was a lovely place. And I had ordered a drink because I actually felt like, celebratory after having done my walk. And, it was a very light drink, nothing intense, and only had 2 sips. And, all of a sudden I felt very hot. And, I shared that with Brian, and he mentioned, oh, you're probably having nausea from chemo, because it was only 2 days since I finished my chemo. And I said, you're probably right. I took an anti-nausea anti-nausea med, and, I just felt warm all over. So I stood up from the table, and I walked around the table and around another table and past the hostess stand and outside, where I passed out and hit the sidewalk face first. I do not remember fainting. I'm 49 years old. I've never fainted in my life. Brian came out a minute later, and people were helping me up, which I don't remember. And he said I was staring into space. I was scared because I didn't look like I was able to focus. This all happened very fast, of course. This is, within a few minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. And this lovely human being, who I never got to thank, called an ambulance or EMT, and they were there so fast. And taking care of me. And within 15-20 minutes, they had called the ambulance. They were encouraging me to go into the ambulance. I did not want to go to the ER. I just didn't want to go. Last time I was at the ER was the day after I had been sent home after losing Kit, our daughter that was stillborn. I had gotten an infection. We know that because my temperature was like 104 or 5, and I said, I'm not going back to the hospital. And Brian was like, that's crazy, we're going. We went to the ER and proceeded to be there for 7 hours before I got admitted. And then eventually I had to get medicine because I had an infection in my womb, and thank God I did, because I would have died if not. But the trauma of all that had come back. And I just didn't want to go back to the ER and spend a whole night there. But intelligence and rational thinking prevailed, I should say. And I was been taking a blood thinner as part of post-operative protocol, and they were worried I might have internal bleeding. I was bleeding profusely from my chin. They thought maybe I would have a concussion. I did throw up in the ambulance and multiple times in the ER, so we do believe I had a concussion. I was, the ambulance was like sirens on and everything. We went to a different hospital, not my normal one, but still part of Yale New Haven, Bridgeport Hospital. I was in the ER probably by 7, and we were there until 4:30 in the morning. 5 o'clock, we were sent into a private room. They did scans on everything. Ultimately, the good news is they found out there was nothing wrong with my brain. There was no internal bleeding. I have 3 stitches inside my mouth, 2 on my chin and 3 under my chin. I have a fracture in my left jawbone. I'm hoping it's mild and will just heal itself. There's a possibility I have to try to get it wired shut, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not really interested in doing, but we'll take the data and see what we do with it. I can't tell you how much fear was there, and to see the fear in Bry's eyes too. When you have a relationship like we do, where we're best friends, we both have accountability to be around for the other one. He was upset with himself for not being there when I stepped outside, but I never in my life have fainted. I've never in my life, even playing Division I sports, had a concussion. This is all brand new. It was it's been an emotional 4 or 5 days. Immediately, there was those feelings of, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why this? As if things aren't challenging enough. Even, it's amazing what these incidences do, though, in terms of helping you understand life. While I was in the hospital, I saw a few different videos that really struck a chord, and I wanted to share some things that I've learned from the weekend, from this incident in particular. Number one and foremost, how everything can change in a heartbeat, in a split second. I can imagine, and I can't really, but that concept of I was there for a minute and people were like, did you feel it get dark? I said, no, I was up and then I was out. It was just like, I don't even remember. I don't remember. It's not even like I was like, I'm falling. I had no conscious awareness of what was happening. I'm really lucky to be alive. I know I've said it before, but we all have our mountains, and this is what God has put in my path. But some days I just don't know how I'm going to do it. But it's, about 5 days since it happened, and, I'm in a much better place. I'm able to walk around. I'm, physically able to walk around, and, of course I'm sore. Monday night was the first night I was able to sleep in my own bed. I woke up Tuesday with a pretty decent-sized headache, stayed in bed for the morning, felt better. Tuesday afternoon, today I feel even more myself. It's just really powerful for me to observe, even with all I've been through, that you could go through more. So I'm happy to be alive. It's amazing how quickly life can change. Some other lessons. One of the videos
I watched, and I want to just share something quickly for those of you that watch me on a regular basis. What I share in here are my truths. I am not sharing a universal truth. I don't want you to feel it has to become your truth. These are my truths and my lessons that I've learned, that I'll take forward, that I've learned through other healers, friends, people that have been through experiences, wisdom that I've gained from all different sources. And I just want you to know, whether it's from me or anybody else, if you hear something and it resonates, well, hold on to it, explore it, and think about it. If I share something and it does not resonate, then it's not, it, that's okay. It's not meant for something that you need to hold on to. You don't just eject it if it doesn't ring true. And I share this because I saw this video that really rang true for me, that, based off all of your beliefs, this may not ring true for you, but I thought it was really powerful. Because this woman was very spiritual, talking about how our time in this world. So there is a spiritual belief that as souls, we incarnate into different lives in this world. Not every religion believes that. Some do, some do not. I didn't learn that through a religion. I think I learned that more through people I admired that had this as a principle, that they had learned through other healers. And anyways, the thought being that Earth is a school of sorts. It's a place for us to learn. One of the hardest places. Sorry about that. This is very hard to do for me, holding the camera this way. Earth is one of the hardest places to learn lessons, and we're here to learn lessons. And what was really powerful about the video is, you could choose to believe this Earth and this world is malicious and made up of just horrible things. And not that there are not horrible things. Of course there are. And so many people, so many of you have been through horrific things, myself included. But that does not mean the world is a horrific place. And I was so moved by it because it allows us to have a choice. Just to have choices when all these things that feel like they're happening to us aren't something we would ever choose. But God, universe, even myself, before I incarnated, maybe chose this path for myself. It's fucking hard. But it is something that I'm learning so much about. It's teaching me so much about myself. And so many of you have shared, and I'm so grateful to each of you for sharing your own feedback when I share a message that resonates with you. I believe this experience is like God and the universe channeling something through me to you. And, I wouldn't mind a break, though. I mean, it's intense, but it was such a powerful video. And this feeling that we're learning tough lessons, I think I've said it on a video before, but it's almost like I'd had this thought in my head for a large part of my adult life that if I was a good person, if I was good to people, if I was kind to people, if I did stuff for other people, if I just was a good person, that life would be easier. And there's definitely an ease to that. But that, even when I got first diagnosed with cancer, I had some of my initial videos that I did, I remember sharing, people would always say, I can't believe this is happening to you, though. You're like so nice. This is the thing. I think that's exactly why it's happening to me. Not because I'm nice, but because why couldn't it happen to me? Why could it not happen to any of us? God bless. Hopefully it doesn't happen to any of you. But this is just a big part of life. Life is about learning and lessons. And one of the most powerful lessons from this weekend, but my first thought was like, fuck, how much do I have to go through? How much? When you wake up in the hospital, when everyone around you is in a very severe state, whether you're in the ER or otherwise. My Aunt Karen said this to me, and it's true. It's like there's someone always worse off than you. And it just brings this immediate clarity when someone's like all intubated and in the room next to you and crying out, and you're sitting there worried about some stitches on your face, life has a way of bringing some perspective. And the thing that I really wanted to share the most with each of you is a really powerful learning. I would say being raised to be a perfectionist, it's like standing on a wobbly chair. You keep waiting for the chair to break, a part of it to break. And so what do? You reinforce, you do all these things to wrap that chair, and wrap that chair. What's really happening is the inside of you is not solid. It's like everything you're doing is for the external world, and you're not feeding the inside. And so for the majority of my adult life, I have been somewhat depressed, or had moments of depression, because I wasn't really being myself. I was afraid to be myself. I wanted to be what everybody wanted me to be. And it wasn't always like that calculated. It was just like almost like a pattern, an operating system that I had learned. And it was, when someone would be mean to me, or at work, because I ran operations, someone would yell at me about something. It was like, it felt like a dagger to the heart, because I worked so hard to be perfect, and now I'm getting yelled at. And then, in intense times, you would get yelled at over and over and over and over. And as an empath, it was brutal. But the thing as an adult that I recognized was, and Dr. Gabor Mate talks about this, the word depressed is really representative of depressing or depressing your real self, not being your real self. And I think when you actively work to be what everybody wants you to be, you don't even know who you really are. And as when I started to go through chemotherapy, the first year I was so down after losing Kit, which is so brutal. I didn't have energy to be anything but who I was. I just couldn't even pretend anymore. And I'm so grateful for that. The person I am now is so much more me than I've ever been, and I'm 49. And so the really crisp lesson that I said to Brian on the way home on Monday night was that so many of you say to me, Molly, you're so strong. You're so strong, Mol. How you do all this? We just think you're the strongest person I know, which I know. I want all to know. I know it's super authentic and heartfelt and sincere, and I love you all for the notes of saying that, and I appreciate it. But it always felt phony to me, because on the inside, I've been so terrified of what comes next, terrified of doing the next thing, terrified of the colostomy bag, just terrified. And so it never resonated, because the inside was so scared, and the outside, everyone would say, was strong. And I'm sharing these videos with you and tearfully and whatnot, because I just want to be so human in this process. I'm struggling through trying to find myself, and I like the person that I am, but man, I've got stuff ahead of me. And the thing that happened through this was like, you took, like, I'm jokingly saying I had gotten a fight with a sidewalk and I won. But it's like the universe slapped the shit out of me and said, you are fucking strong. No, if you can do this, you can do anything. And this is a really powerful shift for me. I'm not saying I'm not scared of the colostomy bag, but I have a little more courage. And my fire, let it burn bright. Let it light the world. And remind all of you, each of you, that the light inside of you should shine as bright as it can.
That is why this channel is called The Light, The Way Back to Yourself. Because first I needed to do it for me, and maybe it will inspire you to do it for you. This is a super long video, and if you made it to the end, I love you for listening. I love you for watching. I love you for being a witness to my pain, but more importantly, my becoming of myself. So, on this beautiful fall afternoon, I send you all love, joy, and light. And I'll next time I'll do a video on camera. Love you all. Bye now.